I want to ask you something, Judge. Are you planning to do any work this morning?
What's the use, Stan?
Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3-Minute Horror Show. My name is Ben, your host, and I love horror movies. In fact, I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Today I'll be reviewing the movie The Ambulance from 1990. A comic book artist witnesses a strange ambulance take a young woman away and there's seemingly no record of her. He decides to investigate and uncovers a sinister plot by an evil doctor.
Wow.
This movie was written and directed by celebrated creator of nonsense Larry Cohen. He's the same guy that brought us The Stuff, Cue the Winged Serpent, which I really need to cover on this channel somewhere, and the whole It's Alive series. He's also the guy that introduced me to the wonderful crazy world of Michael Moriarty. Seriously though, Cue the Winged Serpent is wild. Crazy movie. The Ambulance is available to stream here in Canada on Amazon Prime and Tubi. Both Eric Roberts and his delicious mullet work for Marvel Comics, and he relentlessly harasses Janine Turner in the street until she collapses. She says she's a diabetic. Turner is then picked up in an old-ass ambulance that looks like the Ecto-1 hearse from Ghostbusters. We get an unexpected cameo from Stan Lee, and then Roberts goes out to find out what happened to the woman. The ambulance didn't take her to a regular hospital. She was taken to a super bad guy hospital run by that mustache guy from The Young and the Restless, and she's being held captive. God, look at that glorious mullet. The bad guy doctor in this movie is played by the actor Eric Braeden. Now, he's the same guy that's played the mustachioed villain Victor Newman on The Young and the Restless for the past 40 years. Seriously, he's still at it. Now, can you imagine playing the same character day in and day out, and I do believe they film nearly every day, don't they? For over 40 years?
What?
Now, he was born in Germany in the early 1940s and moved to the United States in early childhood. He started acting in the early 1960s using his birth name, Hans Gundegast, and he played mostly Nazi soldiers at that time. In 1970, he changed his name to Eric Braeden and started landing starring roles in movies. He worked extensively on the big and small screens, and in 1980 he was offered the role of ruthless capitalist Victor Newman on The Young and the Restless. He's appeared in lots of other things over the years, like this movie, and the huge blockbuster Titanic, but this guy knows where his bread is buttered, and he's still collecting that Newman money. So Eric Roberts takes the case of the missing woman to Detective James Earl Jones, who makes fun of him for being a comic book artist. That's crazy because this movie was made in 1990, when comic book artists were right on the cusp of becoming super popular. Roberts meets the roommate of Cheryl. That's the name of Janine Turner's character, and the two team up to go looking for her. They don't get too far though before the bad guy ambulance nabs the roommate and whisks her away. The next day, Eric Roberts is enjoying his coffee, and all of a sudden he becomes very ill. He tries to get help from his neighbors, but in true New York fashion, they're all like, "Ew, a sick guy, gross." He's taken to a real hospital. His roommate is Red Buttons, who is playing a retired reporter. Good lord, that hockey haircut is giving me the vapors. The comic book industry exploded in the 1990s. After witnessing some high-profile sales of old comic books, the speculators entered the market. And what do speculators do when they enter markets? They bought multiple copies of everything, treating them as investments that they could use as nest eggs in 25 to 30 years. Now, if you're an owner of comic books from the 1990s, you know how well that turned out, don't you? As people rushed in and bought millions of copies of the 5 different covers of X-Men #1 or The Death of Superman, the comic book companies took this as a sign to produce more and more copies, thus reducing the resale value that these things would ever have in the future. We've seen this same situation play out 100 times. Beanie Babies, retro video games, Labubu's, you name it. With all these different comic books in mass production, people rushed to open up their own comic book stores, hoping to cash in on the new trend. New studios were opened, like Image Comics, that were creator-run. New books were getting greenlit like mad, and the artists were becoming celebrities. Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Jay Lee, Dale Keown, and much more. And all of these new books were getting snapped up by the store owners in hopes that the public would eat them up like hotcakes. Only they didn't. Because this bubble burst, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. This bubble burst is what almost killed Marvel. It's the reason why they had to sell off movie rights to some of their most popular characters before the MCU started, just to stay afloat. Well, that's enough rambling from me. Back to the movie. Now, Detective James Earl Jones thinks that Eric Roberts killed the missing women, so Roberts and his new buddy Red Buttons break out of the hospital to find the killer ambulance themselves. Even though Red Buttons cracks like 1,000 jokes, the bad guys still manage to catch him, so now Eric Roberts has another disappearance on his hands. Detective James Earl Jones is then murdered by the ambulance driver. The young cop that works with him teams up with Eric Roberts to finish solving the mystery. Will they find the kidnapped people in time? Will that wondrous Tennessee top hat ever let up? You'll have to watch to find out. This movie feels like one of the most New York movies that I've ever seen. Does that make sense? Some movies just feel like New York, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, or Taxi Driver, or Basket Case. Eric Roberts is always fun, and this is a very young Eric Roberts. This is pre-Best of the Best Eric Roberts. James Earl Jones is amazing, and he always brings it. Fun fact, this is the first movie that Stan Lee ever did a cameo as himself in. The stunts were great, and the story was weird as per usual with Larry Cohen. Eric Roberts' Kentucky Waterfall was worth the price of admission alone. I rate the ambulance a 6 out of 10.
Butt scratcher!
As always, a link to my letterboxd appears in the video's description. Please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe as it really does boost my engagement and helps my channel grow. Smell you later, nerds.
Come to think of it, there's a cop over in the homicide division. Looks like Jughead.